point of entry into the main base. But, oh, there we go, Sean. 14 more banelings in production.
Perfect.
This is what I'm talking about.
Always part of a healthy diet. Banelings have a lot of vitamin B12. In other words, they really wake you up, JP. Wah, wah, wah. We also see the Marine production continuing to go out as fast as possible. And here's the big push from nestea.
Is it going to be enough? All the siege tanks are almost gone. nestea is destroying MVP right here, Sean.
Domination.
There is a Thor up on the high ground, but he's going to deny the third base of MVP.
Oh, the poor mules get surrounded, cleaned up. Marines trying to move forward, but the bailing numbers so high. Doing a good job continuing to pick those off. One hit does manage to land, and the command center falls.
And you know that Thor is still there. He doesn't want to move in just yet with all those mutas, but he has a ton of lings coming cross map, Sean.
nestea taking the entire map, overrunning the front lines in the center and the bottom and the right. Expansions everywhere. Very little that he can do. Marines continuing to pop out. The Thor desperately trying to repair.
Should be seeing a GG here, I would think, pretty soon. MVP is just so far down. 165 supply, 67 for MVP. The Thor is still alive, though.
An incredible defense
if he takes out those mutas,
MVP. Oh,
there's the Thor falling.
Marines now come out again. And good game.
nestea, is he going to be able to come back and win this, Sean?
nestea showing such solid Zergburst Terran play. I mean, you think about the way MVP intended to open up. MVP said, I'm going to move out with a bunch of Marines, Marauders early on, force you to not build those drones. And even after all that early pressure, MVP was still behind nestea by 20 full workers after that attack faltered. So that means that nestea is one game away from a $50,000 first place prize, and MVP would be heartbroken to lose two major championships one day after the other.
All right, guys. Now, before we get this match started, I want to make sure that you guys are still alive out there in the crowd. Go ahead and cheer as loud as you possibly can for us before we get this game started, guys.
MVP versus nestea, game number 2, ladies and gents.
All right, Sean, I think they're loud enough. Here we go. The game has been started. Heading back to the Shattered Temple. It's time to cross those fingers. I do not want those close positions, Sean.
nestea is just hoping for no close positions if he does get the close spawns. If he does, then that could be a huge win.
Yes.
For MVP, and no, it's cross-map positions on Shattered Temple. A macro game is in store for you. Can MVP take a win in this wide open space where the Ling Muta Baneling action can rip Terran players apart? If you want the underdog of this event to pull through, the best Terran player in the world, JP, and he's actually an underdog, I kid you not. If you'd like him to pull back and make the 2-0 comeback, give a cheer for IM's MVP.
And the best macro Zerg that I have ever seen last game came out of nestea on that last map. If you would like nestea to win this and win BlizzCon, go ahead and give a cheer, guys. I think we got some nestea fans out there, Sean.
I understand people are here for nestea. And there's one guy out there who's never played StarCraft 2, and he's like, I love drinking nestea. It's delicious. And there we see drones continuing to be made. No shenanigans by either player. MVP going for the usual wall-off. I very much so expect him to fall back on that very typical reactor Hellion opening. The big reason MVP's play faltered last game is that he could not deny that fast third expansion from nestea. Literally incapable of applying any pressure in the slightest.
Now, Sean, you've been in the position right now where you're one game away from winning the entire tournament. Are nerves really a factor at this point for you, or do you just simply not think about it?
Weirdly enough, one of the hardest things to do is to play well when you are extremely far ahead. If you think about the way that any practice match goes when you're at home, you never have an inner monologue when you're playing against some no-name on the ladder. But when you're up on the big stage, suddenly your brain starts thinking about things like, man, what will I do when I get that win? What am I going to say? I can't believe I might actually win this tournament. And all those thoughts can distract you so much. nestea absolutely must not lose his cool. But MVP is the one I'm really worried about. He must not begin doubting himself after those incredible first 2 games. He did manage to take a loss in the last set, but he could pull through and do a 2-1 comeback very easily.
Now we see nestea just now getting his gas, Sean. What does that really signify? That is a little bit later than we have seen in the other games.
Well, it looks like he might be favoring drones a little bit more, but for the most part, any early gas will almost always be for that fast +1 Zergling speed, especially in these cross-mapped positions.
It's like MVP has seen his opponent, has seen the hatchery, and back at MVP's base, we do see that reactor onto the racks and also the factory. So we will be seeing Hellions here to open up from the Terran player.
This is MVP's most used and most stable opening. nestea also adding on those 2 queens, the 2 Zerglings, getting the drones. Interestingly enough, one of the biggest, most flustering things you can be up against is a player who literally makes no change in a very solid opening. nestea, absolutely perfect execution in the opening stages of the game. Knows exactly when to get larva injects, when to get creep tumors, knows exactly how many Zerglings to make, never misses a larva inject, and that can be very intimidating if you're MVP.
I love this play from MVP. Every game sending out only 2 Marines, but that will force at least 1 set of wings out of his opponent, and he's done it every game. That one game even picked off an Overlord, so it's so smart to see him doing that.
This is actually brilliant by MVP. This person should be dead right now. This is like the Jack Bauer SCV. This is actually impossible.
See MVP's expansion started as well, but we have those Hellions now popping out. Only 2 of them. Will he wait for the other 2? Looks like he will send those cross map. See the spine crawler going down here at the ramp of nestea. He's also droned a decent amount at his natural. But
gosh, that was fast reaction from MVP. The Zergling stepped forward, instant micro by the Marines, and he picks it off. And again, that is one of the most important concepts in all of StarCraft 2, and especially real-time strategy games, map control. Look at nestea. No vision anywhere on the map save this one single vulnerable Overlord. nestea is playing completely in the dark, whereas MVP has vision extending all the way to the front of his opponent's base.
Now, the big question here is MVP got to try to sneak by the spine crawler into the natural, or really just kind of contain his opponent right now and make sure that that creep tumor cannot get any further out in the map. Uh-oh. Looks like he was thinking about it. nestea does have a drone in place, and there's that hatchery that we've seen him do so many times, Sean.
It looks like nestea going to be doing the mass Zergling play. Very excited to see how that's going to pan out. And MVP going for the very mobile Marine tank play. I can't believe that both these players are actually doing 0 aggression to one another at this point. This means that this match is guaranteed to go on for quite some time. We're really going to see both of these players in their purest of comfort zones.
Now, Sean, how hard is it for nestea to really take a third in these positions? I mean, he's very susceptible to drops. That gold is going to be obviously a little bit of a pain to take out with those destructible rocks. Where do you see him actually taking a third?
I mean, I definitely think nestea is almost forced to take this bottom right as his third, though these destructible rocks might seem like a big opening for MVP to swing in the early game. It's largely all about the Zergling counterattacks. And look at this, MVP going to move out. He doesn't have siege mode done. This is an absolutely stunning attack timing by MVP that could completely catch nestea off guard. He only just now has begun making Zerglings. He has 16 on the map. What an absolutely stunning attack timing. nestea has 0 idea because he has no map control at all.
You see him even denying a lot of these creep tumors here. That third hatch does finish. MVP is going to set up shop here. Siege mode very close to being finished, though. So he needs to just wait a little bit longer. There's the bunker going down right at the edge of the creep. One of the spine crawlers moving up, Sean.
And it looks like it's moving up a little bit too early. Oh no, he has to cancel nestea with the critical mistiming. MVP has found a brilliant moment to advance forward. The siege tanks in a great spot. The Zerglings do not get the best surround. The siege tanks rip everything apart. MVP has done an absolutely incredible push.
Oh, that spine crawler trying to burrow, but it will survive just a little bit longer. One of the queens falls. He will be able to take the rest out, though. Spine crawler does get burrowed, but it's very, very low. This hatchery is taking a ton of damage from these 2 tanks. Look at the siege tank placement, Sean, just a little bit south there, right underneath that tree. That is so hard for nestea to actually do anything about right now on his tech.
And now it looks like nestea is forced to make only Zerglings at this point in time. His layer is up, his drone count high, but for once nestea's drone timing boldness has come back to bite him in this match. He made far too many workers and not enough units, and this absolutely, completely brilliant attack timing by MVP has caught nestea off guard. That is one of the earliest, weirdest push timings I've ever seen. And look at this defense by MVP. He is absolutely impregnable at the front of his base as well.
See a handful of Lings here in the center of the map, but they really can't do much with those units back, as now the Hellions are going to start chasing them down, Sean.
Gosh, MVP cleaning up in mid.
Here we go, Sean, at the natural. nestea is going for it. He's going to try to take out these tanks.
Look at the units lost tab. Almost nothing lost by MVP. Absolute domination by MVP. Cannot believe how brilliant he is playing in this second game.
67 supply, 89 right now for MVP. He is just destroying nestea's natural right now. Looks like nestea might try one last attack. Here he goes, pulling the Lings, pulling the drone, sending everything in. But I don't know if it's going to be enough, Sean. We might be going to a game 3 here at the Grand Finals.
And MVP's tank positioning, his Marines have just finished the combat shield upgrade. nestea cannot believe it, and good game. MVP ties up the series. That attack timing by MVP just freaked me out, JP. He had no siege mode, no combat shield, no stim, no key upgrades, just 2 tanks, a couple of Marines, and those Hellions to push the vision of nestea all the way back, and you saw nestea completely caught off guard.
And, I mean, wow, both these players are actually joining the game the second that I created. This is how bad they want to get into the next game.
This is going to be a stunning final match. Ladies and gentlemen, Shakura's Plateau for the deciding match.
Make sure the players are ready.
Ladies and gentlemen, nestea and MVP in overall series, tied 1-1. The final match of the final best of 3. Each player has defeated the other 3 times in the course of this Blizzcon tournament today. And everything comes down to one final match for $50,000.
It all comes down to Shakura's Plateau, which will be our last map between these 2 players, Sean. $50,000 on the line.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready to make some noise? The grand final of Blizzcon 2011 could not have had a better story. Everything comes down to one single game. If MVP wins, then he is the champion. If nestea wins, then he is the champ. Let's hop in to the final match of the BlizzCon Invitational. Now, I want the crowd to be as quiet as possible. I'm actually going to pull my headphones away. All right, good. You're being very quiet. In the top left corner, he was dominated in the winner's bracket final, but he came back in the first best of 3 to tie it up 1-1 and has now pushed it to a final game 3. If you would like him to win, give a cheer for the underdog in this series, IM's MVP.
And over here, the player who was in the winner's bracket final defeating MVP came up in this match, lost the first set. Can he actually pull it back here and defeat his friend? It is nestea.
Though almost everybody would go for that early expand, MVP no, even on Shakura's Plateau. He wants to favor that double Hellion opening. nestea going for the early expand like clockwork will be getting that pool, that gas, that hatch up at the exact same time as he has optimized that opening as best he can.
Now, Sean, I really want to get inside the head of these 2 players. You've been in this situation before, in these boots, in the grand final. What is going through your head right now?
In nestea's position, I'm going to be feeling really nervous. After that first game, I'm thinking to myself, if I push it to a long game, I'm going to be in great shape. But then after that second game, I'm realizing, oh my gosh, my teammate could come attack me at any point in time, and he could even expand anywhere on the map at any point in time. MVP has the full gamut of possibilities in his mid game. If I'm nestea, I am praying I can get this match past 12 minutes.
Now, what about MVP's point of view, Sean?
I'm in MVP's spot, I think that I'm starting to realize that I have a lot more momentum than I initially did. MVP went into this series after a really disheartening loss in the GSL finals, another disheartening loss in the winners bracket finals, and he has pushed it all the way back to this final set. I think MVP can really dig deep and think to himself, I am capable of beating MVP in yet another best of 3.
And here we go, Sean. The action is already heating up. We do see a bunker at the natural from MVP, putting some pressure here onto nestea.
Whoa. Looks like nestea is getting caught a little bit off guard by this. This is the classic move that MVP is known for.